Oh, it is time to see who's getting into Nick's Club Superstar. We got a little sneak peek on Friday. Nick has finalized the list since then. Doors open tomorrow morning right here on First Things First. It is exciting.
Never been more excited.
But we got to get to Philly first. I actually don't doubt that at all. Sixers he came for last night. Maybe the best we've seen from James Harden in these playoffs, perhaps. You know, what used to be ho-hum for the Beard was considered sensational last night. Team high 31, 6 threes, 9 assists. Embiid dominated as well. Sixers win. That series now tied at 2 apiece. All right, Broussard. Harden was good, finally. But I think the question is, can Sixers fans rely on this version of James Harden the rest of the way, the rest of the playoffs?
No, they can't. And they know it. Doc knows it. Heck, Harden probably knows it. But let me clear up. There's a misconception out there about James Harden in the playoffs because we all have talked about how, he's not the same player in the postseason. Some people feel like he never plays well in the playoffs, and that's not what we're saying. In fact, yesterday was his 45th playoff game, scoring 30 or more points. That is the third most ever among active players. Look at that group. I mean, that's an awesome group to be a part of. So James Harden has had many great playoff games. The question with Harden is about what's he going to do in the big games? What's he going to do when their backs are against the wall, when it's a must-win situation? And that, if there's a breakthrough, that could be the breakthrough for the Sixers fan. That yesterday, Harden was under pressure, Wilds. Like, there was talk about him not getting a lucrative long-term contract. There's talk, about him not even being a top 75 player, like legitimately. I disagree with that. I think that's ridiculous, but there was talk out there. And of course, if they lose the game and fall down 3-1, the series is essentially over. So there was pressure on Harden. And not only did he play fairly well, he played incredibly well, particularly in the fourth quarter with the 16 points. So that could be the breakthrough, Wilds. But here's the thing. They don't need 30-point James Harden. What they need is him to be fairly efficient. And yesterday shot 44%, which for him, that's efficient. Because what they can't have is Harden being bad and shooting horribly. And 7 of the 10 playoff games this year, Wilds, he has shot 40% or less. 7 of the 10.
Right.
In 6 of them, he was below 40%. So if he's just efficient, 20 points or so, you got Embiid, you got Maxey, you got Tobias Harris. They just need him to be aggressive as he was yesterday and efficient. And that's a good enough Harden, I think, to get past Miami.
Okay, so I'm going to run a counter argument here, Broussard. If we did a blind celebration test, they have those food tests, and one's Pepsi's, one Coke, you can't tell the difference. And you didn't know how many points James Harden scored in the game. But all you did was look at social media and look at Harden's reactions and look at the fans' reaction. And I said, Nick, how many points did James Harden say you score? You'd be like, whew, I don't know. Did he put up a 50-piece? Did he put up 40? Nope. Just 31 points. Just kind of what's expected of a guy who might get $200 million plus. It was his most aggressive game, which we've been asking for him to do. Come out and play aggressive. We can show the full screen. 31 points is the second most he's had as a Philadelphia 76er. When you look at his shot attempts, that's also second most. That's what I want. 3-point attempts, 10. That's second most. So I think this is the Harden that we want to see. I get what you're saying, just to be more efficient. But the celebration in the sort of collective exhale from Sixers faithful, yes, this is the guy. I just feel it feels more like a blip than a trend to me, Nick.
Well, listen, on the celebration scale, I know you're very picky and choosy. It was a little more than you would like for a guy who only scores 31, but less than you would like for a mediocre, dirty player who gets out of the playing round. So, like, somewhere on that spectrum of the Kevin Wildes accepted celebrations. However, I don't think he was celebrating necessarily the total points. I think it was more relief than celebration. I think it was the first time James Harden in months has felt like he thinks he should feel like. However, if you're Philly, I've got some sweet and some sour, I guess, here for you. The sour is you cannot expect this type of performance again because, Brew, I tweeted it during the game, and then I had Dusty check it, and my inclination was correct. This is literally his best playoff fourth quarter in a close game ever. The most points he's ever scored in a playoff fourth quarter that wasn't in a blowout. So the idea, Harden might score 30 again, but the idea that he's going to carry you like this down the stretch, he's been in the league more than a decade. Right. He's never had a game quite like this one, a close playoff game late. So that's not sustainable. But here's what is sustainable, Brew. And here's why I picked Philly to win the series before the playoffs. And my only trepidation was if Embiid was going to miss the whole series. Obviously, they were drawing dead. Miami has no answer for Embiid. Embiid was at like 60% in game one, looked like about 75% in game two, well, games 3 and 4. And they have no answer for him. I think Philly absolutely could win 4 straight if Embiid continues to get healthier. Miami's doing this weird thing where they have no shooting, and Duncan Robinson, who hit 8 threes and makes $18 million a year in the first game of the playoffs. He's played 44 playoff minutes in the 8 games since. He's played 1 minute in this series. Right. Listen, Miami, I know heat culture, defense, toughness, all that stuff. You got to have some shooting. You can't have Gabe Vincent and Max Strus out there firing up threes when you got an $18 million a year marksman who was awesome in the first game of the playoffs with glued to the bench. So Miami, let me say something, Brew, that people aren't saying, and I couldn't believe I would say it. Last couple games, Doc Rivers making some good adjustments. He finally got the memo. DeAndre Jordan, unplayable. Eric Spoelstra, last couple games, little stubborn. Like, maybe need to open up the rotation a bit and not play the Markieff Morris card. Like, so I think Philly's in a really good spot, Jenna. I think they're in a really good spot.
Well, it doesn't matter how good James Harden plays. He's not getting to Club Superstar, which opens tomorrow. Is Jason Tatum's entry status, though, at... Hey, is Ja right that Jordan Poole, quote, broke the code when he grabbed his knee in Game 3? We'll discuss that. And Jason Tatum, Club Superstar opens tomorrow. Got to step up your game, buddy. What are you doing? What was that performance? Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolf, Nick Wright, Chris Broussard, Kevin Wildes. We are here. Great weekend of sports. Nick, Tatum had a brutal Game 3. It does not bode well for tomorrow's grand opening of your big superstar club. Club Superstar, as it's also known.
It doesn't, but let's be honest. That's not what people are here for right now. Roll the animation. Let's get to it. Main event starting right now. Let's go. Let's go.
Did people spend their weekend talking Luka? I don't know. We're going to start in Dallas this morning. Suns Mavs Game 4 and another solid night from Luka. 26 points, 11 assists, 3 steals. Should I focus on the line or should I move on? On a night when